Father Arno, I presume? You didn't have too much difficulty finding my office?
No. The concierge told me what I needed to know. You have a wonderful place.
All the art objects surrounding me were bequeathed by my mentor and friend, the late Professor Hermann von Bergen.
I know his reputation. He was a great traveler.
And a distinguished scholar. But tell me, did you have a pleasant journey?
Yes, thank you. I admired the Transylvanian landscape, then I fell asleep.
And you've come from Transylvania?
From Vladoviste, to be precise.
The homeland of Vlad the Impaler. You made the right choice of locales to investigate vampires. Herman went there too when he was young. He never told me. I've had various hypotheses, of course, but I must confess, the question intrigues me. And to think that the answer might lie behind you. The personal papers of Herman are in this strongbox. He died suddenly and didn't have the time to give me the code for opening it.
Can I try to open it? I'm no expert in the matter, but with a little luck...
Gladly. I'd be very grateful if you managed to open Herman's strongbox.
This lock is incredibly noisy. Or has my ear become more sensitive? I can't get over how clearly I can hear the mechanism. It's extraordinary. I found the combination. MDCCCXX. Looks like a number in Roman numerals.
Thank you for opening the strongbox, Father. Would you be so kind as to deposit the contents on my desk? A wax cylinder and a letter. Let's see the letter. Very interesting. Are you familiar with the name of Bram Stoker?
He's the author of Dracula. I had the opportunity of perusing his novel.
This is a letter from Mr. Stoker addressed to Herman. Read it, please.
So then Stoker was inspired by a story told him by Professor von Bergen, the story of events that had taken place in Transylvania. Perhaps in Vladoviste?
It's probable.
Did you know that Professor van Bergen knew Bram Stoker?
Yes, but I ignored all the details that are recounted in this letter. I only knew that Stoker had cited Herman among the sources inspiring him, and Herman was not flattered.
Had the professor foreseen the novel's success?
In no way. One day he told me, speaking of Stoker, that irresponsible man didn't understand half of what I told him. He's peddling errors that could cost people their lives. Fortunately, his book will be quickly forgotten. The first trace we have stems from ancient Babylon. The creation poem contains sinister allusions to Lilith, the unappeasable, who sucks the blood of newborns. Several centuries later, the Odyssey evokes dead people who crowd together to drink at a blood-filled ditch. But it's in Europe, beginning in the 14th century, that veritable epidemics of vampirism are described. They would continue until the 18th century, a period which left us much written testimony.
For example?
The famous Visum and Repertum report, written in 1732 by a retired Austrian military doctor. In it, we learn in abundant detail how Serbian peasants open a vampire's grave and execute him by driving a stake through his heart.
What an energetic method.
It's very widespread. In Russia, they use an aspen stake. In other places, it's made of hawthorn, from which Christ's crown of thorns was woven. It has to. Reports describe hundreds of grave openings. The vampire's cadaver is identifiable because it's perfectly conserved. It often appears swollen by the blood it has absorbed. The blood stains its clothes, its nails, or its mouth. It's sometimes so abundant that it overflows the coffin. What do you mean by believe, Father?
I mean, do you think that vampires have a real, objective existence?
Real or objective? You must choose, Father. Because the only immediate reality is subjective. The rest are just hypotheses.
All right, your viewpoint is unassailable. So let me reformulate my question. According to you, has the existence of vampires been demonstrated?
Jean-Jacques Rousseau said, "If ever there was in the world a warranted and proven history, it is that of vampires. Nothing is lacking. Official reports, affidavits of well-known people, of surgeons, of priests, of magistrates. The evidence is most complete."
Yet all these stories and affidavits seem very confused to me. I sense nothing coherent behind it all. Didn't you say yourself that the traditions don't agree?
Don't take the legends literally. I think they are the deformed reflection of a truth that is even more horrible. This book, The Lords of Twilight, is the most rigorous volume ever written on vampires. Open it. It's a composite recurve bow, a lovely item, is it not? Capable, apparently, of piercing armor at 200 meters.
That's a powerful weapon.
But also a very handsome object. Herman brought it back from his travels in Central Asia. It's a container of acid. If anyone tries to force the strongbox, it breaks and destroys everything within it.
The Lords of Twilight is the work of an insane person. It's sheer madness.
Father, the war that has just ended shows that the whole world can go mad. In less than 30 years, evil will seize power and the earth will once more catch fire.
No, not so quickly, not so soon. After the carnage we went through, the world will take the time to let its wounds heal.
You'll see. The author of the book, the Thule Society that publishes it, all of them are criminals who won't hesitate trampling on corpses to gain power and eternal life. The war will come because of them and their like. That's very possible. Vlad was a cruel ruler, intelligent and determined. He could very well have made a deal with the devil and conquered immortality.
So he would have lived several centuries?
To be sure.
But where would he be hiding?
In Vladoviste? Why not? Or elsewhere. The fox might have changed his den. The only way to tell would be to follow the path until its end. It's a group founded by Heinrich von Kreutzberg on the ruins of the Golden Dawn, another secret society. Thule reached out to Professor von Bergen many times, but he couldn't bear them. He always kept his distance, and I followed his example.
Did they approach you?
Many times. Openly, not in any roundabout way. Oh, they're very clever, very influential. I would never compromise myself with them. Do you know the hidden apocalypse of Thomas the Greater?
Yes, there are those who say it is a prophetic work.
Here it is. Open the book, and you will read some astonishing things. This page reveals the origin of the Great War, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand at Sarajevo. The event that would submerge the world in horror had been announced centuries before in this book.
Really? This page, you say?
Forget the direction you ordinarily read in. Try to compose words vertically or diagonally. See?
Casus belli. The cause of the war.
Exactly. The prophecy contains two other terms that cross the first one. Look for them and you will find the date and place of the assassination. Are you giving up? Do I have to show you the words that you haven't found? Everything's there. In 1914, in Sarajevo, the incident that caused the war occurred. It can't be a coincidence.
It's very odd, I grant you that.
That's the past. Now let's discover the future. You see, on this page, the Thule Society is clearly designated. Its name is associated with Coitus, which means massacre. To know more, look for connected terms. Are you giving up? Do I have to show you the words that you haven't found? So now everything is clear. At the instigation of the Thule Society, evil will triumph in Germany in 1936, and there will be massacres.
So this prophecy is at the root of your mistrust of the Thule Society.
It's just one element among many others. Believe me, those people have no notion of compassion. I see it as a way to force destiny, to attain, thanks to the force, spheres forbidden to man.
How could that be possible?
Father, you are well placed to know that sacraments of good exist. You must accept that there are also sacraments of evil, handed down from time immemorial.
If they do exist, these sacraments can only be dangerous illusions.
They do exist. 7 of them. 7 stages of the same route. 7 trials to change a man into a bloodthirsty monster who pretends to deal with God as an equal. The keys to the path of the dragon are hidden in ancient documents. Take this occult work. It contains an illustration that I would ask you to examine carefully.
I know that painting. I saw it very recently. It's Raphael's crucifixion scene. Although, no, it's not precisely the same work.
Excellent memory. It is indeed a copy. We shall point out the differences with the original one by one. In the original painting, the angel on the left holds 2 chalices.
To be sure, I remember that very well. In your copy, the angel on the left is only holding 1 chalice.
Absolutely. That's the most flagrant difference. There's another one, but you'll need a magnifying glass to see it. Focus your magnifying glass on the base of the cross.
An inscription, but it's in ancient Enochian. Do not let your blood flow in vain. A strange locution. What meaning do you ascribe to all this?
Herman had an idea on the subject.
These variations between the 2 versions of the crucifixion are troubling. You say that Professor Van Bergen was able to interpret them?
Herman was convinced that the variations in the documents revealed the secrets of the path. Imagine yourself as a copyist, seeking to transmit a message to initiates. 2 methods are possible. Either you add an element to the original, or more subtly, you remove one.
The chalice?
Yes, it's absent from the copy, and I think it's a way to draw attention to it. The devil leaves his signature in its absence, Herman said.
Then the chalice is important.
An object is associated with each stage of the path. I'd venture a guess that the chalice is one of them. There are 6 others to discover.
What happens at the end of the route?
The initiate must accomplish one last rite. He won't be able to unless he's understood all he's achieved before. That is, if he knows the order of the trials as well as the objects and symbols related to each of them. If you want to transmit forbidden knowledge, it's an advantage to plagiarize sacred art. Your copy will be piously conserved by simple folk who don't even suspect what you've hidden there. And your message will go through the centuries, understood only by those to whom it is addressed, your spiritual brothers, the initiates. That's true, but it's very hard to find one's way in it. Herman had a very particular way of storing his books. Let's say he classified them more poetically than functionally. Without this catalog associating each book with its call number, I'd be lost in my own library. Every time I take a volume from the shelf, I write its call number on a bookmark I slip between the pages. That way I can put it back in place without losing too much time. For the same reason, I use ghosts.
Ghosts?
Yes, there are ghosts in my library. That's what we call the pieces of white cardboard that signify the place of a missing work on the shelf.
Professor, I don't want to take up too much of your time. This visit was most interesting, even if, I must admit, your opinions hardly go in the sense my hierarchy expected.
It's regrettable that the Catholic Church is so rigid. But even if the existence of vampires may be doubted, the existence of the Thule Society is unquestionable. Beware of it, Father. I'll gather some documents that will show you all of the malevolence of this organization. Where can I send them to you?
At the Vladoviste Inn, if you'd be so kind. Thank you for receiving me so graciously, Professor.
I wish you a safe journey back to Transylvania, Father. God keep you.
What an astonishing conversation. It's as if this woman lived in another world. I'll have to test some of these arguments on Professor Kruger. I'm curious to know his opinion. I've got to see Janos and Stefan. They'll surely be curious to know how my conversation with Professor Boxoff went. But first, let's stop at the inn to see if I've received any mail. Stefan Luca is in the parlor. Let's go greet him.
Hello, Father Arno. What news?
I've just come from Budapest. I saw Professor Boxoff, and I have to confess that she shares some of your ideas.
You see? Are you ready to help me at last? When do we leave for Turkey?
I don't think that my superiors would appreciate that initiative. However, I promise that I'll think about it.
Very well. I think I'll have to venture onto the path of the dragon alone. I can see that I haven't convinced you, Father. But I'd still like to ask you something. Sometimes I'm scared, scared of the powers I'm challenging. Of course, I do have my Medal of St. Dimitri, but I'd also like to have your blessing.
You should know that, at our hostess's request, I've already blessed the room you're sleeping in.
Oh? Well, that is reassuring. Thank you, Father.
Number, please.
This is Professor Heinrich von Kruger.
This is Father Arno Moriani.
That hypersensitivity might be due to fatigue or to nervous tension. Let's see. You don't have any allergies, do you?
No, not at all.
Good. Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about, but call me if you notice any allergic reactions. Yeah, I noticed they coincided with epidemics of the plague. Masses of people died, they were buried quickly, and sometimes when they were still alive. They tore at themselves while trying to escape their coffins. If they were disinterred, their bodies were found bloodied. In short, they made perfect vampires. Cases of premature burial like that aren't uncommon, you know. Even today, a colleague told me of a pregnant woman who gave birth in her coffin. The poor lady died of suffocation with her child. Decomposition is not a very systematic phenomenon. If the laws of nature permit 1 out of 100 bodies to deteriorate more slowly than others, take the time to open every grave in a cemetery, and you'll always find one pseudo-vampire. Anyway, why associate the absence of decomposition with vampirism? The phenomenon has been observed with many holy figures. For example, Francis Xavier and Teresa of Avila, to cite just two. Explore the archives of your congregation, and you'll find dozens of cases. Decomposition produces gases that can give the cadaver a swollen aspect. The liquid that oozes from corpses is an odd phenomenon. But did you know that the venerable Lebanese monk Charbel Makhlouf has sweat liters of blood since his death? Does that mean this holy man is a vampire? What a pompous name. What does it refer to?
An initiatory journey having to do with vampirism. Professor Irina Boxoff takes it very seriously.
Himmel, esotericism, secret societies, initiatory journeys. What an old-fashioned hodgepodge. But even the greatest minds sometimes go astray. Himmel, esotericism, secret societies, initiatory journeys. What an old-fashioned hodgepodge. But even the greatest minds sometimes go astray. Prophecies. What exactly did the professor say?
Great evil will come forth in Germany in some 15 years. There will be massacres and a new world war.
And what is the source of these prophecies?
The hidden apocalypse of Thomas the Greater.
Ah, yeah, the Kabbalistic version.
Do you know it?
Of course. I also amused myself when I was a student with associations of letters. By the virtue of the law of numbers, once in a while, you obviously have to find the combinations that make sense.
You think that all of this is just coincidence?
Yeah, and that book can be made to say just about anything. Wait a minute. I'll go get my copy. Good. Let's open it at random to page 3, for example, and look for significant words. You'll see that, with a little bit of luck, we're going to discover some wonders. Hey, look, it didn't take me long to find something. I see other words, but I'll leave you the pleasure of the hunt. Should I show you the words you didn't see? Good fishing, huh? But that's as it should be. When you look for just any old thing, you'll find it easily. Now, let's look at the interpretation. Rising Sun, 1945. Fire from the Sky. I've got a wealth of choices. For example, I can posit that 1945 will be the dawn of a new empire, and that its advent will be accompanied by lightning bolts zigzagging through the sky. Or, also, that in 1945, heaven's fire will fall upon the empire of the rising sun, or any old ingenious absurdity that I can dream up. All right, this game is amusing but sterile. Let's focus our attention on other matters.
Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye, Father.
A package from the Vatican. It must be Vlad Tepesh's biography that Monsignor Briganti sent me.
Hello, Father Arno. Are you back from Budapest?
Yes, I spoke at length with Professor Boxoff. She takes testimony about vampirism very seriously.
Age makes many academics lose touch with reality. But tell me, did she show you the manuscript about Vlad Tepesh?
It wasn't necessary. I was able to procure a printed edition, which is more than enough for my needs.
You know, I'm not very interested in esotericism. Vlad was reproached for everything, even for having abjured orthodoxy to convert to Catholicism. But his life is only known through the writings of his enemies. You have to read between the lines. Among other things, it's said that one Easter he treacherously seized all the noblemen in his country. They add that he made them labor naked on the enlargement of his castle till they died of exhaustion. But they omit to point out that these noblemen had betrayed all the previous kings. They were leading the country to its ruin through constant plotting. By eliminating them, Vlad was acting for the best.
That's one view of things. All right, the time has come to call Monsignor Briganti to tell him my investigation is nearing its end. I hope he's in his office.
Come in! It's open!
How lucky you are. It's a very beautiful city. Really? That's fascinating.
I suppose so, but my work is to show that everything can be explained with no mystery being involved.
So then the Vatican doesn't want to believe in vampires. What a lack of imagination.
So, you come to pray, Ozana?
Yes, Father. I am praying to our Martha for business to take off again after these dark years. You see, Father, the war ruined lots of small businesses. So it'd be good for Vladoviste if Martha became a saint with a pilgrimage and the whole thing. Father, now about Martha, I've got to tell you something. My sister-in-law caught that chest disease. It was just before Dr. Ferescu arrived. There wasn't no doc in the village. Well, my sister-in-law touched a scarf Martha'd worn, and she was cured just like that.
Hey, sir!
Oh, Saint Martha, protect us.
Excuse me?
Nothing, nothing, Father. You were talking about the castle? Well, with all due respect, there's nobody left up there, and it's all demolished. So I don't go there. Oh, that one. With all due respect, Father, she cheats at cards like at dice. Or if she ain't cheating, then she must be in league with the devil.
Leave the devil out of all this.
Oh, well, whatever. In any case, I always lose against her.
Well, then don't play anymore.
Legends. Remains to be seen if it's legends. Could be you'll find some who'll talk to you about it. Maybe. I'd rather not talk about all that.
You know. I saw you throw your discs. You're quite good.
Yes, I'm very good. But since Ariel left, I have no one left to play with.
Oh, can two play that?
Of course. There are different rules, but what I prefer is playing against the wall.
Explain it to me.
Each player throws his disc. The one who arrives the closest to the wall without touching it wins the point. The first one to get 2 points wins the game.
And if you hit the wall?
That's bad luck. You lose the point immediately, even if the other guy hasn't played yet.
Oh, then the one who plays second has an advantage.
For sure. That's why we draw lots the first time. Then it's always the winner of the previous point who starts. Now the bridge is broken and you can't get in anymore. Except through the underground passages. But I don't know where they are. And you really have to be careful about ghosts.
Ghosts?
Yes. You can hear them crying at night. Ariel even saw them. Naked men carrying rocks to build a wall. Women and children too, stuck on stakes. She won at dice against my uncle. I could have beaten her for sure, but she didn't want to play with me. I know one. He's very tall and walks in silence. I saw him through the fog, near the tomb of the wild rose and at the crossroads of the broken oak. But it's funny you should ask me that question. Usually grown-ups don't like to talk about those things.
Why do you think that's so?
I think the grown-ups are scared.
And you're not scared?
No, Martha protects me. You're the one who doesn't look good, Father. You're so pale. You want to? Great! But usually grown-ups aren't interested in playing discs.
They should be. It's a fine game. Shall we draw lots to see who starts?
No. Since I know the game so well, it's best for me to start. That'll give you a little advantage. Hey, not bad. Too long. You lose. No. Wow. Excellent. I didn't think you could beat me. I'm always practicing. I keep all my treasures in this bag. Maybe I'll show them to you someday. Oh, yes! Wow. Looks like the discs are the same distance from the wall. Let's play the point over. Wow. Looks like the discs are the same distance from the wall. Let's play the point over. Oh, no way! That's really great. I can't get over it. I hope to take the return match. I keep all my treasures in this bag. Maybe I'll show them to you someday. Hey, not bad. Too long. You lose. Wow. Looks like the discs are the same distance from the wall. Let's play the point over. Oh, yes! I won! Don't be disappointed, Father. It's my game. You can't beat me every time. In any case, it's fantastic to play with someone who handles himself so well. Now, I'd like to show you my treasures. Look in my bag. A silver needle. Take it. I'll give it to you. I picked up these bright pebbles near a waterfall. I found that in the attic of a demolished house. That comes from a necklace. The thread broke, but I kept the beads.
I see you like music.
That's my slingshot. It means a lot to me.
Yes, I understand.
I don't want to give it away, but I will trade for it.
In exchange for what?
I don't know. Some really precious treasure.
Number, please.
This is Cardinal Felicio Briganti.
This is Father Arno Moriani.
So, your stay in Budapest.
Instructive. But I must admit that Professor Boxoff's opinions are rather disturbing.
Oh, that's alarming. I do hope that you intend to conclude the way we expect.
Rest assured. I also spoke with Professor Kruger, who approached the problem in a very rational manner. I now have sufficient material to write my report. I'm starting tonight.
Oh, you're always so dynamic. But try to get some rest afterwards. If you like Vladoviste, stay there a while. Walk, read, pray, enjoy the calm and the silence. I'm going for a 2-week retreat to a little monastery in Abruzzo. We'll see each other when I get back to Rome.
Goodbye, Your Eminence.
Be well, Arno.
I worked late. I finished my report, then I went to bed. It was hot and humid.
Arno. Arno.
Another night of agitation. It's the third time I've dreamt of Maria. I'm attracted to that woman, it's obvious. Lord, preserve me from temptation.